There's something addictive about the silence of forgotten places. The way time just stops. I've explored more than my share of decaying buildings, collapsing rooftops, moldy stairwells, and pitch-black corridors. But there's one place and one experience I can't shake. It still haunts me in ways I never expected. It all started a few years ago when I stumbled across an old water refinery, listed in a niche online urban exploration forum. With the help of Google Earth and some grainy satellite images, I mapped out my route. No address, no reviews, just rust, rot, and isolation. The perfect place for a solo thrill. Yeah, I know, dumb. I always explore alone the first time I visit a location. Psst. Part of it's for the adrenaline, the rest guilt. If something goes wrong, I'd never forgive myself for dragging someone else into it. The day of the trip, I left class, tossed a water bottle and camera in my backpack, and hopped on my bike. I had a hand-drawn map folded in my pocket, the curse of not owning a printer. The ride took nearly 2 hours. As I approached the destination, the road gave way to an old, cracked bike trail that dead-ended just past the refinery. Overgrowth choked everything. Trees pierced through concrete. Ivy crawled across rusted beams and shattered windows. The buildings weren't just abandoned, they were collapsing in slow motion, peeling paint, rotten ceilings. Entire walls bowed outward like they'd exhaled their last breath years ago. But to me, it was beautiful. I slipped through a fence and wandered through the ruins, capturing everything on camera. I found strange metal spheres, hundreds of broken windows, and what looked like a furnace large enough to cook a small car. For 2 hours, I lost myself in the silence and decay. Then I left satisfied, at least. I thought I had everything I came for. But halfway down the trail, I remembered a final angle I'd missed. The one that made the whole trip worth it. My instincts told me not to go back, but I've always had this stubborn side. If I don't get the image I came for, I feel like I wasted the day. So I turned around, and that's when I saw him. A lone man dressed in tattered old clothes was walking slowly down the same trail. Toward me. Toward the dead end. Toward the fence I had just slipped through. No backpack, no phone, just walking. I passed him, gave a polite nod, and continued biking. Something in my gut whispered, "Don't let him see you go back in there." So I planned to ride all the way to the trail's end and circle back. By then, surely he'd be gone. But when I returned, he wasn't gone. He was standing at the fence, watching me. His face twisted into a smile, but not one of joy. It was the kind of grin people wear when they hear something dirty and sick, but Dante want to laugh out loud. He didn't speak at first, just stared, and walked. Slowly, back toward the place I'd tried to leave behind. And suddenly I realized I was trapped. The trail ended behind me, and in front of me stood a man with a smile that made my skin crawl. I tried to play it cool, pedaling slowly toward him, heart pounding in my chest. I thought if I stayed calm, I'd pass him again and head home. I was 20 feet away when he finally said something. "I sure would like a ride. It's hot out. Mind if I jump on?" That sentence. It broke the illusion. The moment it left his mouth, I knew this wasn't paranoia. It wasn't just some weirdo on a walk. I flew past him, legs pumping furiously, heart hammering like a war drum. I didn't dare look back until I was halfway down the trail, but when I saw him, he turned around and was chasing me. Not sprinting, but walking fast. That same twisted grin still plastered across his face. I tore down the trail, back onto the main road, and didn't stop until I reached a gas station. I ducked inside, drenched in sweat, pretending to browse the drinks. My hand was shaking as I grabbed a Gatorade. Police officer stood near the counter. I walked over and told him, casually, that I'd just come from the bike path behind the old refinery. His face darkened behind his sunglasses. "People shouldn't be out there," he said. "Not alone, anyway. We get calls sometimes. Shady characters like to hang around." He didn't elaborate, and I didn't ask. But something in his tone told me the man I saw wasn't a one-time fluke. I wish I could say that was the end of it. But years later, it happened again, only this time, in a place I thought I knew. There's a complex of buildings 20 minutes outside the village I grew up in, out in the northern countryside. Some say it was a farm, others say an abandoned RAF base. Whatever it used to be, it became our summer kingdom. My friends and I claimed it as ours, dozens of buildings, forgotten by the world. No one ever came out there. No squatters, no animals, just us. We must have explored every inch of that place 100 times. But one night, just before university, my best friend and I decided to return for one last adventure. No gear. No flashlights. Just the glow of our phones and a stupid sense of nostalgia. We wandered through the ruins, laughing, telling stories. The air was still, the kind of quiet that feels unnatural. Then came the sound. Ting, ting, metal on metal. Echoing through the complex, we froze. It wasn't the wind. It was deliberate, rhythmic, and it changed. Boom, boom, clap, boom, boom, clap. The Queen's We Will Rock You, but played on pipes, slowly out of sync. We turned around and began walking, silently now, careful. Then I stepped on a loose MDF, board and it, snapped like a gunshot. The tapping stopped, so did my heart. We inched forward until we heard something I'll never forget. A voice, loud, clear, but completely nonsensical. Just random words shouted without pause or meaning. Grass, silver dinner, break the walls, crackle me night. We ran. As we passed one of the outer buildings, we heard another voice. Different, male, still rambling, still mad. We didn't stop to process, just jumped into the car and peeled out, hearts pounding, not daring to look back. Back at my place, we didn't sleep. Couldn't every creak in the house sounded like footsteps. Every shadow something more. Still think it's just in our heads? Let me tell you about the last place. The house my friend, let's call her A, showed me one summer. But she'd never mentioned it before, even after a dozen abandoned house trips. When I asked why, she hesitated, visibly uncomfortable. Then she told me about the growl. She and another friend had been inside. Standing in what used to be the living room when they heard it, a growled, deep, guttural, and surrounding them, not behind, not above, but everywhere. They ran and never went back. Naturally, I had to see it for myself. It was a short walk through tall grass, surrounded by trees. We passed jars of nails, a copper wire leading from a shed to the attic, and 2 mounds of dirt that looked suspiciously like shallow graves. Then we stepped inside. Half the house had burned. The ceilings were torn open to the sky, as cans littered the floor. The air was heavy, thick, like breathing syrup. I moved into the living room, bending over an old wallet. That's when I heard it. Footsteps. Above us. I looked up straight through a hole into the attic. There was no staircase, no ladder, no crawl space. There was no way someone could be up there, and the footsteps multiplied. All around us, above, beside, in front, we bolted. And from that night on, something changed. A started seeing a dark mass in her room. She had a string of bad luck. Car trouble. Family issues. Then one day, she got into an accident. In the rearview mirror, just before the crash, she swore she saw the black mass, sitting silently in her back seat.